Thanksgiving in Maple Hollow always felt like something out of a postcard. Crisp leaves, warm lights in every window, and the comforting smell of roasted turkey drifting down the quiet suburban streets. For most, it was a time for gratitude, for family, for food, for being together. But for the Crawfords, Thanksgiving was something else entirely. I first met Claire Crawford in college. She was kind, quiet, and always had that old soul energy about her. Every November, she'd head home early for her family's Thanksgiving. Said it was a big deal. When she invited me 1 year ago, I thought it was sweet. She smiled and said, "We always have plenty of food. You'll love it." Her family lived deep in the woods, in a colonial-style house that looked like it hadn't aged a day since the 1800s. White columns, flickering candles in the windows, the kind of house you'd see in a history book. When I pulled up the long gravel driveway, the smell of roasted turkey hit me before I even knocked. The door opened to a woman in pearls and an apron, Claire's grandmother. She smiled so wide I could see every wrinkle in her face. "You must be Daniel. We've been expecting you." Inside, the house felt timeless. No phones, no TV, just candles, portraits, and old furniture that looked too polished to be real. At the table sat her parents, her younger brother, and two elderly relatives I didn't recognize. Everyone stood as I entered, smiling in perfect unison. The table was massive, covered edge to edge with food: turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and rolls glistening with butter. Dishes that looked like they came straight from a Norman Rockwell painting. I remember joking, "Wow, this must have taken days." Claire's dad just said, "We make it together. Tradition keeps us strong." We bowed our heads to pray. Her grandmother's voice was low and strange, a half whisper, half chant. I couldn't make out the words, but when it was done, everyone clapped politely and began to eat. And man, it was good. The turkey melted in my mouth. The gravy was rich and deep, almost sweet. I told them it was the best meal I'd ever had. That's when I noticed the way they were watching me. Not smiling and not eating, just watching. After dinner, I excused myself to stretch my legs. The hallway was lined with portraits, hundreds of them. Families, smiling around Thanksgiving tables, stretching back over generations. Only, something was wrong. In every single painting, the faces looked eerily similar. The same table, the same house, the same people, just different clothes, different decades. At the end of the hall, I found a recent photograph. It showed Claire's family, and a man I didn't recognize, sitting where I had just been. He looked uncomfortable, nervous. The date at the bottom read, Thanksgiving 2018. When I turned, Claire was behind me. She smiled, soft and sad. "That was last year's guest," she said. "He didn't stay long." I tried to laugh it off, but her expression didn't change. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. The house was too quiet. Every few minutes, I'd hear faint noises like footsteps or a fork scraping a plate. I crept out of bed and followed the sounds downstairs. The dining room was dark, but the table was still set. Every dish had been refilled. Steam rose from the turkey. I froze. Then I saw a shadow move in the corner of the room. The basement door was cracked open, a warm orange glow spilling out from below. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened the door. The stairs led down to a massive cellar, with brick walls, shelves of preserves, and an enormous stone table in the center. Candles burned along the edges, casting long, flickering shadows. And around the table were figures, pale, still figures. At first I thought they were mannequins, but when I got closer, I saw the truth. They were people, mummified, seated upright as if waiting for dinner. Their faces were twisted in silent screams, and at the head of the table was the man from the photo. I backed up fast, heart pounding, when a voice behind me whispered, "You weren't supposed to see that." It was Claire. Her face was pale, eyes glossy like glass. She stepped forward, candlelight flickering across her face. "You're our guest, Daniel. It's rude to leave before dessert." I bolted up the stairs, but when I reached the door, it slammed shut. From behind it, I could hear her family laughing, plates clinking, silverware tapping rhythmically. "You said you loved the food," her mother called. You'll make a wonderful addition to the table." The laughter grew louder, echoing unnaturally, until it turned into a distorted chorus of voices, all saying the same word, "Stay." I don't remember how I escaped. Just flashes, the front door swinging open, cold night air, the gravel slicing my hands as I crawled away. I woke up in the hospital 3 days later. The police said they found me miles from town, shivering in the woods. When they searched the Crawford house, it was empty. No people, no food, just dust and broken furniture, like it hadn't been lived in for decades. The family, they said, had died years ago in a house fire. Thanksgiving night, 1952. I tried to move on, told myself it was shock, dehydration, hallucination, anything. But last week, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside was a single photograph. It showed a familiar table. Turkey, candles, cranberry sauce. And there, sitting between Claire and her grandmother, was me. Same room, same clothes, same terrified expression. At the bottom, in neat cursive script, it read, "Thanksgiving 2024. Thank you for joining us again."
There's a small town in Massachusetts that doesn't show up on most maps. No highway signs point to it, and if you ask locals about it, they'll tell you there's no such place. But if you drive north from Plymouth, past the fog, past the endless forests, you might stumble into Pilgrim's Hollow, a quiet village that time forgot, a place where the Thanksgiving season never really ends. It was late November when I found it. I was a travel photographer chasing old colonial architecture for a magazine spread, barns, inns, and forgotten churches. My GPS went blank about 5 miles off the main road, but I saw smoke rising through the trees and followed it, thinking it might be a farmhouse. Instead, I found a cobblestone street lined with crooked wooden homes. Lanterns glowed in the fog. People dressed like they'd stepped out of the 1600s walked slowly between buildings, carrying baskets of corn and bread. They all stopped when they saw me. Not hostile, just staring. A man in a broad hat finally spoke. "You're just in time for the feast, traveler. You've come to give thanks." I tried explaining I was just passing through, but he insisted I stay. Said it was a special day, their day of thanks. I thought it was some kind of reenactment community, like colonial Williamsburg, but off-grid. They led me to a meeting hall, long wooden tables, candles dripping wax, the smell of roasted turkey and herbs filling the air. Children sat quietly, hands folded. Old women whispered prayers in a language I didn't recognize. At the head of the table sat a woman in a black bonnet. She smiled, showing teeth too white for someone who looked centuries old. "Our guest of honor," she said softly. "We've been waiting." I tried to laugh it off, but the way she said it made my skin crawl. When the food was served, no one moved until the woman began to speak. Her voice was soft, but carried through the room like a sermon. "Our ancestors crossed the sea with empty hands and full hearts," she said. "They gave thanks to the land that fed them, and to the spirits that demanded a meal in return." The room echoed with one word, whispered by everyone at once: "Thanks." They began to eat, but their movements were strange, synchronized, almost ritualistic, forks scraping in rhythm, chewing in unison. When I took a bite of the turkey, the taste was incredible, smoky, tender, unlike anything I'd had. I asked what kind of meat it was. No one answered. They just smiled. After the plates were cleared, the townsfolk stood and began to sing. It wasn't English, something older, melodic, mournful. The woman in the bonnet raised her arms. "They gave to us, and we give to them. Each year, one from beyond joins the hollow. The feast must never end." I froze. I thought it was part of the act, some creepy pilgrim pageant. But then the man who'd first greeted me stepped forward, holding a candle. "It's an honor," he said, "to be chosen." I backed away slowly, muttering excuses, saying I needed air, needed to grab my camera from the car. They let me leave, or at least they pretended to. As soon as I stepped outside, I ran. The fog had thickened into a white wall. I could barely see my hand in front of my face. I followed the road I came in on, but every turn led back to the same square. The same houses, the same glowing lanterns. The bells began to ring. Once, twice, 3 times. And then I heard footsteps behind me, When I turned, the street was empty. But the sound didn't stop. It was all around me now. The crunch of boots on gravel, whispers blending with the wind. Stay and give thanks. I stumbled into the old church at the end of the road, the only building with its doors open. Inside, candlelight flickered on rows of old portraits, men and women in pilgrim clothes, their faces pale and hollow. Each painting had a nameplate beneath it. The last one read, Elias Gray, 1872, and right below it, a new frame, empty, but waiting. The brass tag beneath it was already engraved with my name. Then I saw something move behind the altar. It was the woman in the bonnet, standing in the shadows. "You took their blessing, child," she whispered. "The meal binds you to us." Her skin cracked and peeled like old parchment, revealing gray flesh beneath. The others appeared behind her, faces sunken, eyes black and glassy. Not people, not anymore. The pilgrims who never left. I ran for the door, but it slammed shut on its own. The windows warped and melted, trapping me inside. They began to circle me, singing that same hymn, low and guttural now, echoing from every corner. The woman placed a cold hand on my face. "You give thanks, and we give you forever." The candles all went out at once. I felt hands grab me from behind, dozens of them, pulling me down, their fingernails cutting into my skin. I tried to scream, but something warm filled my mouth. It tasted like blood and turkey. They found my car a week later on a dirt road outside Plymouth. Keys still in the ignition. The camera is sitting on the passenger seat, photos untouched. The last picture I'd taken wasn't one I remembered shooting. It showed the feast, the townsfolk, and I, sitting at the head of the table, smiling like everyone else. When the police tried to locate Pilgrim's Hollow, there was nothing there, just forest and fog. Sometimes at night, I dream I'm still there. The candles, the music, the smell of that perfect meal. And when I wake up, I swear I can taste it again, that smoky, sweet flavor that isn't quite turkey. They say Thanksgiving is about giving thanks, about family, about remembering the past. But in Pilgrim's Hollow, the past remembers you.